I literally trained thousands. I'm not talking about hundreds. I'm talking about thousands. While I was working in the gym, I would help people. I was like, oh, if you don't know how to train, just come look for me. I'll show you how to train. And by the time I knew, I had thousands of people that went through my hands. And I actually noticed at a point, I was like, people are changing their bodies. I'm actually good at this. During those first 4 years, I was just running with no goal. I was just, walking through life, as you say.
Yeah.
Just actually working hard instead of working smart. I wrote it in 2013. I wrote that I wanted an application. I wrote that I wanted to do online training. So I already had that in my mind. I just didn't know how to get through.
Welcome to MacroActive Radio. This series takes you behind the scenes of the secret strategies and hands-on tactics that year after year have produced million-dollar results for an elite movement of influencers, experts, and mentors in the health and wellness industry. Listen and learn and join the movement.
Welcome to the future.
Hey everybody, Ken Brickley here from MacroActive Radio. With me today is Lenny López, online personal trainer based out of Puerto Rico, serving Spanish-speaking customers all around the world. And we have invited Lenny today for a few reasons. One, his audience is unique. I mean, it's not as large as most of the other trainers that we work with. However, he seems to be, putting up incredible numbers and impacting people's lives at a volume that frankly puts to shame many of the much larger clients that we've worked with, audiences into the millions, and yet Lenny is smashing it with a relatively small audience. So we think there's a mindset, something going on. We want to unpack that. Lenny, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Ken. Thanks for having me. It's an honor.
Cool, man. So let's just get right into this. What's going on? Tell me about your current social platforms, your current audience. How many people are you reaching kind of like on a 24-hour swipe up basis, and across all your platforms, what's sort of your reach?
Well, in terms of my reach, it would depend on if I am advertising strong that month, I'll get a bigger reach. But usually it fluctuates depending on if I'm posting often, or if I'm putting up more stories, if I'm doing something different. When you're doing different things, the audience tends to engage because it's not just a social media platform, it's also an entertainment.
Sure.
So they'll watch your stories and they'll get entertained, especially when there's something going on in your life. It doesn't matter what it is.
Help the audience understand just contextually, what are we talking about in a broad range of people who see you in a week?
Well, in terms of numbers?
Yeah. Just how many followers kind of thing?
I have around 33,000 followers on Instagram, and I got about the same amount in my Facebook fan page. I got around 8,000 on TikTok, which I'm moving pretty fast in just 1 month.
Yeah.
And I'm moving on Twitter, YouTube. I'm trying to, move all platforms at the same time. Snapchat, everything that comes, I'll take it.
Okay.
But
so take me back to the beginning. You've been a personal trainer offline, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, I own a gym. I own a gym in Puerto Rico. Is a studio just for personal training. I started my career as a personal trainer in 2008, and before I started online, I had this written down in 2013 that I wanted to create my own online program, to sell online routines, to have my own application.
Yeah.
So this has been a written goal I have had for 7 years. And, it came true 5 years later. because I actually worked for it. Is something that I'm very goal driven, and I like to write things down because I know that you materialize everything that you write down, and it works perfect for me, like everything. And I have a person who is a very successful person in the business industry that we've been talking for about 2 years. He actually owns a soccer team, which I will not say which one. He owns a soccer team in the United States. Oh, wow. And, we were having this conversation, and he just said, Lenny, look, you've achieved all these goals in the past years, yet imagine if you would have just taken your goals a little higher, you would have still achieved them.
Yeah.
So that made me realize that, I'm still not at my, full potential. It means I can do way more. I can achieve more. I can help more people. Oh, and I think that's the base of, the solid base on anything is about helping, is about providing, giving. And that's what's taken me to where I am right now, which I'm, really grateful.
Cool. So where did you've owned a gym, you've been personal training one-on-one. How did you first build that initial audience on your social accounts? Take me back to that point.
So back in 2008, I was, going out with this chick. She was a model, and she was a little bit older than me at that time. I was in my early 20s. She was almost in her 30s, and she was telling me about grabbing any opportunities that come by, to not be afraid. And we were having this subject, and minutes into the conversation, I received a call from a modeling manager, which wanted me in Misters of Puerto Rico, which is a beauty contest, but for men. And I kind of got scared, but we were just talking about that. So she was like, Lenny, I told the manager, hey, I'll call you back. I'll let you know. Because it didn't seem like a good idea to me. But then she was all on me like, hey, you should do this. You're not going to get these opportunities later. And I was like, fuck it, I'll just jump in. And I just jumped in. I was scared. I performed in sports on stage, and I've done a lot other stuff. But modeling, being a bikini on a stage, that was weird for me. So when I entered the modeling industry, it actually helped me build my self-esteem. It helped me, be more confident in myself. And I'm very competitive at everything in life. Like I think that's another thing that has taken me to where I am. I'm a very competitive person. And so I applied it in modeling because I lost a contest, which was best body and talent. So I was like, well, I don't got no talent. I can do sports, but I can't sing. I can't dance. So, I'm going to win best body because I know I have the best body. But in terms of the evaluation, I my projection was way off. My walking, I looked unconfident. And all these things brought me to a loss, which the people who won, I was like, wait, how did he win? And then when I got off stage, I had the people that judged me, they went up to me and they was like, Lenny, you got the best body, but your projection is just way off. Like, we could tell how unconfident you perceived in the stage. So that's something that, helped me build me who I am. But in terms of social media, at that point, I had my modeling manager come up to me and tell me, Lenny, you're one of the favorites right now, but you can lose it all if you don't change your social media platforms. I was like, what are you talking about? And I'm talking about MySpace.
Yeah.
Back in MySpace.
Yeah.
And he was like, you have to delete your profile and just make it again because your social platforms sucks. Yeah. Like, what you're projecting, like, you're doing this and yet you're projecting something else in social media. And I was like, wow. It's true. So he told me to look at social media as like my own resume, which is actually true. If I want to know about someone, I'll see what that person is sharing. I'll see what that person is posting, and I'll have a slight idea. I can't fully judge the person, but I can have a slight clue of how the person thinks.
And what was the kind of content that you first started posting after that advice?
It was just inspirational, educational. I started building my personal brand as a personal trainer because I used the modeling. I used it as a trampoline in order to get people to know who Lenny López was in the modeling industry, in the TV industry. So they knew me as Lenny, the model / trainer.
Yeah. Right.
So that was the whole purpose. I wanted people to see me as a personal trainer because I was going to sell them, my service.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's how I started building my brand 11 years ago.
I definitely see a lot of people who are kind of only modeling on, like, their content is super model-esque, not advice driven, and the ones that don't deliver the advice don't get the customers. That's an interesting observation.
It is. And as a matter of fact, when I worked in the gym, I started working in the gym in 2008, late 2008. And one of the things that helped me is that I was all about helping. I wasn't doing it for the money because I wasn't getting paid. I literally trained thousands. I'm not talking about hundreds. I'm talking about thousands. While I was working in the gym, I would help people. I was like, oh, if you don't know how to train, just come look for me. I'll show you how to train. And I'll show them perfect form. They'll ask me, hey, Lenny, can I pay you so you can train me? I'm like, no, I don't have a license, so I can't train you. And I'll just continue with that pattern for almost a year and a half. And by the time I knew, I had thousands of people that went through my hands. And I actually noticed at a point, I was like, people are changing their bodies. I'm actually good at this. Yeah. But I used to assume that big muscles, like really big muscles, were just smart people because they had big muscles. So I assumed that muscles were the same as brains. You can have big muscles and no brains. And I was like, people are looking for me. Why don't they go to that big buff dude with the big, 20-inch biceps?
Yeah.
And at that moment, I started creating, I was educating myself a lot, learning a lot, because I didn't want to get no one injured. I wanted to help as much possible. And it got to a turning point where I had someone, very close friend. He was like, Lenny, you train a lot of people. Why don't you charge them? I'm like, yeah, good idea. So I just got my license and started charging people for it.
And then so walk us through that moment where you realized, wow, I could possibly do this online and reach and impact way more people.
So, and first it started when I wrote it down in 2013. I was, I was already an internet user. So I was already aware of YouTube. I was already in the platforms, but not as much as I should have. But, now I learned. But I'd say that during those first 4 years, I was just running with no goal. I was just, walking through life, as you say.
Yeah.
Just actually working hard instead of working smart.
Mm-hmm.
So I was really into the grind, waking up at 4 a.m., going to sleep at 11, 12, midnight, sleeping 4 hours, getting my training done because that was really important for me.
And how many clients did you have one-on-one at that point?
I really can't say because I used to train so many people. I used to do so many things. I don't remember. I can tell you a little bit after, yeah. But in 2013, I was listening to The Secret, the documentary of The Secret.
Yeah.
And I listened to Bob Proctor, which is one of the people that speak in the documentary. And I started searching for him on YouTube. And this guy was telling me about the law of attraction, the paradigms, and all this stuff that I'm like, whoa, like I actually apply this unconsciously in sports.
Yeah.
Why don't I just apply the same thing in life? So literally I have my notes, which I send you one, which is, I wrote it in 2013. I wrote that I wanted an application. I wrote that I wanted to do online training. So I already had that in my mind. I just didn't know how to get through.
Yeah.
So it in 2017, I got to a point where I got separated, and there's no such thing as a good separation. When you break up, it's a very strong process, especially if it's been long term. So, I was managing my depression. I lost mostly everything, so I had to start from zero. And as I'm trying to get up, Hurricane Maria comes.
Oh my
But
God.
before I get to the Hurricane Maria, in that August month, I was making a proposal because I have a friend that she owns a designing company. She makes logos and arts for big companies like Walmart, Kmart in the United States. And I asked her, hey, Linda, do you have any, developers that can help me? So I asked her, I'm like, hey, do you have any developers? I have this idea. I want to, make my own app. I want to know how much it is. And she was like, Lenny, sure, finish the proposal and let's make it work. So I was doing the proposal. And before I finished the proposal, Hurricane Maria passed.
Oh, God.
Hurricane Maria has been the strongest hurricane that has ever gone through Puerto Rico in the last probably 100 years.
Oh my God.
So it was devastating. We had no power for months. We had people that were almost a year with no power, no water.
Oh.
It was a catastrophe, a big catastrophe. And as I'm getting up from this, I lost all my clients, literally all my clients. I ran out of savings. I had to apply for a loan from Small Business Administration. They have a disaster loan. So I had to apply for that in order to keep paying my bills, because I still had to pay the gym owner. I still had to pay rent in my apartment. I still had to pay everyone. I had to pay the government. And I was running out of money because it was a lot of expenses. And, as I'm getting up from all this, Linda, my friend, decides to travel to Puerto Rico. And as I'm showing her Puerto Rico, I showed her Joseph's profile. I'm like, look, this is the trainer I love. I love his profile. I love his program. I
Joseph
tried to
Brackett
look for
Fitness.
his flaw. Yes,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
tried to look for his flaw. I was looking for a mistake. And I was like, this guy is impeccable. Like, this is what I want.
Yeah.
Like, I tried, and trust me, I tried, and it did not work. And she was like, okay, fine, I'll help you when I get back. And when she went back to Atlanta, she called me and she was like, Lenny, I got a better idea. Why don't you just contact him directly instead of me building something from scratch? Like, he already has a system that works.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, such a tough idea. It's just that I didn't think of it. It was just so simple. Sometimes we have the answer right in front of our eyes, and yet because of our lack of focus, we just don't see them because we're focused on other things. So that's when I, contact Joseph. His team answered. They gave me his email. I emailed him, and then we scheduled a conference call, and that's when we started.
Unbelievable. And that's fantastic. And so, and you built it up, and then you now had this audience that you were then able to offer the same type of advice that you give one-on-one in the gym, but now you're able to do that to the thousands of people that were following you, right? And super customized and all the sort of bells and whistles that come with that. But what I gotta say, like, you still have a relatively small audience compared to
be honest. Ken, be really be honest. Come on,
okay.
Be honest.
You're not as small as maybe others that with 800 or 1,500. You're past startup mode, but you're still not 1 million, not 800,000, not 6 million.
I'm not even in the 50,000.
Yeah. You're making more than many of those people who have more than 1 million followers, right? And so,
because followers don't
what's the
turn
secret?
into money unless you understand social media. Like, people need to understand that it's not about the likes.
Yeah.
You know, you get tired of seeing the same pictures over and over again, the same body, the same, Google quote. You can Google those quotes.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So there's no value. So people get bored, and people are looking to evolve, to be better. You got to provide to people. And that's one of the things that me as a personal trainer, before I started online, helped me. I was full of clients all year. I didn't know what a low season was.
Right.
Usually everything, it always happened like this. I would have this customer, it would train with me for 1.5 years. The person would have to stop training because of economic problems or whatever. And the person would bring me another one. So I would literally let go of one and have a new one come in.
Yeah.
So I was never empty. I always had clients in every station of the year. Usually December is the slowest month.
Yeah.
And I always have clients. And it's as me being in the industry, I realized that a lot of personal trainers used to complain, oh, it's the season. And I'm in my head, I'm like, I got 20 clients right now. How is it low season?
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe it's low season for you because you don't know how to provide value. I don't even sell my services online. I don't tell people come train. I might give that pitch sometimes, but I usually don't. It's mostly 95% of the time it's educational.
It's educational, and I notice the way that you do that. It's a lot of answering questions. So when somebody asks, "Hey, can you write a custom meal plan for me?" Like, to be able to answer that question and then go into detail about what's involved in your program, but you're doing that on a live broadcast. Well, heck, that's going to turn into revenue. That's going to turn into clients.
Yeah.
So talk to us about the like. Do you do lives? Do you do?
I do lives. I engage with my client. I say clients, but my followers as much as possible.
Yeah.
I show them who I really am. I show them what really happens in my life. It's
so your stories, in your stories, I mean, do you sort of 5, 10 stories a day? Or are you more like
I don't even
30?
count. Sometimes I post over 50, 60 pieces of content across all my platforms.
There you go. That's the secret.
And every day.
The same thing. It's not boring tripod exercises in the gym. It's behind the scenes of your life. They get to know that you're the real you, that kind of thing, right?
I give them a little bit of everything. I give them educational content. I give them inspirational content. I give them, things to think about. I make them engage with me. I started to think more about them than of me, because I have this tattoo in my arm. Ego is my enemy. It's not about me anymore.
Love it.
It's about serving. It's about giving. And I realized this a very long time ago, that the more I give, the more I get. It goes like that. That's how it happens. Like, you don't have to even understand it. If you do it, it's gonna work. If you do bad, you're going to get shit in your life. You're going to get bad shit in your life. If you do good, you're going to get good shit in your life. That's easy. It's an easy concept. But yet you have egocentric and low self-esteem people, just trying to get likes and followers because their self-esteem is in the floor.
Love it.
They don't really care about the person. And every time I meet people, I tell them, you should care more about your audience. Even if you have 500 followers, you should care about what your 500 followers think.
Right.
Or what they want. Because if they're following you for a reason.
No kidding.
Sometimes you're going to lose some, but you're also going to get more. Probably that person just stopped, receiving valuable information. He was like, I already got all this. It's time to perform.
Yeah.
It's time to work. It's time to actually do it.
I, tell us what your, I mean, I think you've touched on it already a little bit, but I really I want to double click on this. Your mindset has to be, it seems like it's different. I mean, is obviously an abundance mindset. It's a give more than you ask type of mindset. But like,
I don't even ask. I don't even ask for anything because I am supposed to get whatever I deserve in that moment.
Right.
Things don't come when I want. I wish it would work like that.
Yeah.
You know, everyone would be abundant and wealthy in all aspects of life if it was that easy.
You certainly are not focused on the money, and yet it's coming back to you. What is your focus? What drives Lenny López?
I am the first, I'd say, millionaire in my family and have the $1 million mindset. And when I say $1 million, it doesn't have to mean that I have $1 million in the bank. Is that I know how to create it, I know how to get it, but it's just a tool. It's a useful tool that will break a lot of cycles that happened in my family because of the lack of money.
Mm-hmm.
And I am that person that's, you know, creating a new legacy, a new mindset into the new upcoming kids that are growing in my family. I don't want them to go through the same thing that I did.
Right.
You know, I want them to be rational and emotional, but I have to get them to understand the process, you know, and that's why in my social media, I keep so much of my followers, because when I show them that there's a lot more than just having abs, it's more about actually being happy. Once you understand that fitness is just a complement of life, like you win. Like fitness has to be there. There's no such thing as a successful person in the world that does not exercise. They'll do some sort of exercise.
What's your advice to other personal trainers beginning the process of moving online? They know they can impact 10, 20, 50 people one-on-one, but they want to have a larger impact in the world. You've gone through this process. What nugget of advice can you share with them?
They have to work with their own fear. I mean, it's a fear of failing. It's starting a business. And you have to know that as any business, you need to earn people's trust. And there is no way to earn people's trust than just giving. I used to have these clients that I went up to them. I was like, hey, I see that you're not training as hard as you should. Would you come next week and just train? I won't charge you anything. I just want to train you. So I trained them that week. After I finished that week, I expected the call. I used to train her at 5 a.m. It was a couple. Yeah. They called me. I was like, hey, Lenny, we want to train with you. I'm like, all right, let's start. Yeah. So it always turns out on how much you're giving. It's like the law. Like it's a law. Like if you don't give something, you're not going to get anything.
Love it. Let's come back to the conversation you had recently with the football owner. And he said, Lenny, you've got to think bigger. What's your goal for 2020 or one of them?
I really want to impact over 1 million lives. I want to help more people. I want to do a foundation because I want to work with kids that have ADHD. I have ADHD. I've had it all my life. I was a different kid in school. I just require a different kind of attention and approach. And I really want to work with these kids because there's a lot of them right now that have inherited this from their parents. They just don't know it. But yeah, I have really big goals. I really want to keep helping people. And I don't know if you knew, but I got selected to compete in American Ninja Warrior. Woo! So 2020 is American April 11, national TV. Lenny López will be there.
Oh my God!
Representing a small island of Puerto Rico.
I love it. I love it, Lenny. Thank you so much for your time today. Where can people get a hold of you?
Lenny López in all of my social media platforms.
Fantastic. Have a wonderful day, Lenny. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you for having me.